Hello everyone, and thank you for visiting Grindforce Gaming. I am Falcon and welcome to my video series, Be the Best at New Pokemon Snap. In these videos, I'm going to take an in-depth look at one Pokemon and walk you through exactly where to go and how to take pictures of all 4 of its poses, but not just how to get them. I'll show you which version of that pose gives you the most points, and the easiest method to get great scores for all of them. Which means, of course, that I'll also be helping you to get a diamond rank for your photos. So everyone who wants to know how to break that elusive 4,000 point mark and get a shiny diamond for every shot in your photo decks, you're in the right place. And finally, for those of you who want to push your scores to the absolute limit, I'll show you the current world record shot for each pose, and exactly what you need to do to get it. If this video helps to boost your scores, please make sure to show your support with a like and subscribe to the Grindforce Gaming YouTube channel so that you never miss any great GFG content. You can also catch me live streaming New Pokemon Snap on Twitch. I'd love to see you in chat and say hello. With no further ado, let's get to today's Pokemon. For an easy, high-scoring photo on Combee's 1-star pose, head to Florio and select the side path at night. Make your way through the level until you reach the area with Pidgeot's Nest and a Tangrowth. Here, you'll have plenty of time to snap a photo of the Combee that's hovering by the Crystabloom. Get close and wait until the Combee is facing you and snap a photo of it filling the frame. You can add up to 225 bonus points if you're able to get the Crystabloom in the background of the shot. A normal picture here will net you around 4,500 points. However, if you're patient, Combee has an idle pose, which happens at random. It will occasionally smile and tilt itself at an angle for a few seconds. Taking a picture while Combee is tilted is still a 1-star photo, but now you'll get over 900 pose points instead of the default 500, which means that you can earn as many as 5,000 points right here in this spot. If you want to challenge yourself to get even more points, stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you the world record strategy. Next, for Combee's 2-star pose. Go to the same place as the 1-star, but this time as you start to get close, run a scan. Combee will react to the scan by turning to face you for a moment, and taking a photo during that reaction will be a 2-star shot. Once again, you can add up to 225 points by including the Crystabloom in frame. This pose is actually a bit easier than the 1-star because you don't have to wait for the Combee to face the right direction. The scan will automatically make it turn to face you. For a simple, diamond-ranked 3-star shot, we're going to stay on the side path at night. Right after you go through a hollow log about halfway through the level, you'll reach a Torterra. A Vespiquen will come and interact with the 2 Combee flying above you. If you need to, turbo ahead just a bit to position yourself ahead of them. You want to take a picture of this Combee while it is being scolded by Vespiquen. And Vespiquen must be in the picture, so don't zoom in your camera. The 2 of them have synergy during this shot, so instead of centering on Combee, you want to aim between Combee and Vespiquen. Make sure that you are targeting Combee, and that you have all of Combee's body in frame, but you also want as much of Vespiquen in the shot as possible, because that synergy means that you'll earn lots of other Pokemon points for her. Pay attention to Combee's expression. While Vespiquen is scolding it, Combee will get upset and close its eyes. That's the pose that we want. You only need 1 Combee in frame, but remember that Vespiquen needs to be in the shot for it to register as a 3-star. As you can see from these example shots, if you don't get enough of her in frame, it will only be a 1-star picture. Lastly, for Combee's 4-star pose, we're going to switch levels and head to the park at night on Research Level 2. Move ahead until you reach the flower field at the very end of the level. Throw an Illumina Orb at the nearest Crystabloom in order to summon Vespiquen. When she arrives, we're going to hit Vespiquen with an Illumina Orb to cause her and all of the Combee around her to do a backflip at the same time. You want to take the picture of Combee while it is upside down facing you, and you'll once again need to include both Combee and Vespiquen in the picture. That means that these example shots here do not register as 3-star shots because there isn't enough of Vespiquen's upper body in the frame. So, the important part with this shot is to line it up correctly. Ideally, you want to wait until a nearby Combee is facing away from you before you orb the Vespiquen. That way, when it performs the backflip, the Combee will be upside down facing you with Vespiquen in the background. It may take a few tries to get this lined up properly, but you'll be able to make multiple attempts in a single run, and the game is very generous with the other Pokemon points in this shot. As you can see here, it does not need to be a great close-up picture of Combee to earn a diamond rating. Time it right and make sure you have plenty of the Vespiquen in the shot, and you should be all set. The good news is that this is the same strategy that I used to get the shot on the left. I'll go into more detail in a moment, but perfecting this strategy is the key to mastering Combee's 4-star pose. Alright, so now you've gotten all 4 poses, and you've gotten great scores for all of them. What if that's not enough for you? Well, for those of you who want to challenge yourself, really push those scores to the limits and be the best, this next section of the video is for you. Now, I'm going to show you the world record shots and exactly what you need to do to get them. Quick disclaimer, for this section of the video, I'll be talking through things pretty quickly, and I'll be using advanced techniques like partial zooms, drifting, throw extensions, pause buffering. If you're ever watching these videos and you're unfamiliar with any of the terms or techniques that I'm using, check the description below for some helpful links. Now, let's chase some world records. As of this recording, the current world record for Combee's 1-star pose is this photo, taken by Feek, with a score of 5,427. And here's my personal best so far, ranked 10th. Let me show you how we did it. All of the world record strategies for Combee take place in the flower field part of the park at night on research level 2. There's a few things we need to do to set up the 1-star shot. Right at the beginning, throw an Illumina orb at the score bunny on the sign. When you do, it will do a blue flame kick, and then Shaman and Pichu will cheer. All 3 of those Pokemon will now show up later in the level. After passing the dam a bit later, you'll see Sylveon, Pichu, and Grookey sleeping near a Torterra. Hit Sylveon with an Illumina orb and run a scan toward Pichu and Grookey to wake them all up, and have them show up again later at the end of the level. If you don't see Pichu here, then something went wrong. Start the level over and make sure that you hit Score Bunny with an Illumina orb. When you get to the flower field, hit the nearest Crystabloom with an Illumina orb to summon Vespiquen. Then make a line of Fluffroot to lure one of the Combee over to the other side of the path. The Pokemon that we woke up earlier are now sleeping near this Crystabloom, and we want to get as much of those Pokemon in the background of our shot as we can. One quick note, you need to be careful not to lure Combee too close to the Crystabloom. If it's right next to it when you throw the orb, it will activate the wrong reaction. When you hit Combee with an Illumina orb, it will perform a triangle flight pattern, zipping to 3 corners in very quick succession. At each corner, it will wait for a moment, then quickly turn and zip to the next corner in that sudden motion. Timing is critical. While Combee is at a corner, even if it has started to turn, the pose will only be worth 200 some points. In order to get 900 to 1,000 pose points, you must capture a photo of Combee while it is moving, during the frames when it is zipping between those corners. This motion happens very fast. It's possible to catch with burst mode, but I strongly recommend pause buffering if you can. To compete with the world record, you'll need to pay close attention to Combee's flight pattern. Line yourself up so that when you orb Combee, it will fly into your frame during the transition part of its triangle pattern. You'll need it facing the camera and filling the frame as much as possible, with the Crystabloom and as much of the sleeping Pokemon in the background of the shot as possible. It's not easy. The saving grace of this difficult shot is that once you've got Combee lured into position, you'll be able to orb it over and over again to keep it in place, and you'll get multiple attempts at the shot in a single run. But it's tough. Good luck. The current world record for Combee's 2-star pose is this photo, taken by Osleys with a score of 5,825. And here's my personal best so far, which is ranked 7th. I'm also putting up the 2nd place photo, taken by Milk. I'll tell you why in a moment. As soon as you get to the flower field, summon Vespiquen. What you'll need to do for this shot is orb Vespiquen so that she and the Combee all do a backflip. What makes this shot so difficult is that you need to get 2 Combee in the frame doing the backflip at the same time, with the Crystabloom in the background. This is extremely difficult to do for several reasons. Follow a luring pattern similar to what I perform here. You need to lure 2 Combee toward the path, then away again, so that they're facing away from you when you trigger the pose. If at any point you lure the 2 of them too close to each other, they flinch and then scatter, and you can't trigger the reaction. You'll have to start the lure over. But they can't be too far apart because you need to get both of them nice and large in the frame. Once you have things lined up so that two Combee are near each other by the Crystabloom, both facing away from you, orb the Vespiquen, then quickly return your camera to the Combee and snap a picture while both of them are backflipping towards you. For this shot, the two Combee will have synergy with each other, so you'll want to aim between their hitboxes. I wasn't able to do this properly on mine because I was too close. Look at Milk's second place photo for a perfect example of how to aim. Which brings us back to these high score pictures. You may have noticed that the top ranked shot here has a different background than mine or Milk's. In the number 1 shot, Osley snapped the same picture, but after luring the two Combee all the way across the path and over to the left Crystabloom. I have not come close to making this strategy work, so if you have the stones to attempt it, you have my deepest respect. The current world record for Combee's 3-star pose is this photo, taken by Hume, with a score of 5,854. And here's my personal best so far, ranked 12th. This pose is the dancing animation that happens when you play music. Here's how to line it up. Head back to the flower field and summon Vespiquen again. Once Vespiquen arrives, throw a fluff fruit behind the closest Combee so that it turns around. The timing is very tricky on this, but what we need to do is play the melody right when Combee starts to descend toward the fruit. If done correctly, Combee will react to the music just before it reaches the fruit and lift up to eye level to begin its dancing animation. Here's where you need a bit of luck, because there are 2 different reactions that can happen once you play the music. Sometimes Combee will begin by just flying off to the side, and if that happens, you'll need to try the lure again. If it does the animation that we want, Combee will fly forward and stop right in front of you for a moment. You'll need to have Vespiquen prominently featured in the background. For timing, you actually want to pay attention to Vespiquen. The best timing for Combee's pose points is when Vespiquen has both hands up to her mouth, like you see here. These Pokemon also have synergy, so you can aim between their hitboxes for perfect placement. We also need to include a Crystabloom in the background of the shot. That's why we needed to do the half lure. When you play the melody here, it's up to chance on whether or not it does the correct pose, so you'll need patience and luck. But in my opinion, this photo is far easier to get than the strats for the 1- and 2-star shots. Last but not least, the current world record for Combee's 4-star pose is held by Milk, who, as usual, gives us a textbook example of the pose with this 5,683 point photo. Here's my personal best so far, ranked 12th. This is the same backflip pose from the 2-star shot, but instead of getting a second Combee in frame, we need Vespiquen in the background this time. Don't worry, this is actually a lot easier than the 2-star strategy. This is essentially the same process that I showed you earlier in the video. Find a way to line up a Combee between you and the Vespiquen, with the Combee facing away from you. You can do this a few ways, but in my example, I chose to lure the Combee into the dirt path so that when the Neo 1 approaches, it gets spooked and flies back toward Vespiquen. Once you have the Combee in the right position, quickly hit Vespiquen with an Illumina Orb. All of them will do their backflip. The sweet spot is when Combee is upside down, facing backward. Ideally, you want to get all of Vespiquen's body in the shot, as well as any other Combee you can get. There is synergy between Combee and Vespiquen again, so you can get a perfect placement score by aiming between them or by aiming directly at Combee, whichever works better for your positioning. Congratulations, you now have all the tools you need to master all of the shots for this Pokemon in New Pokemon Snap. I hope you enjoyed this entry in my Be the Best series. If you did, please give it a like, and remember, it's your voice that tells me what to work on next, so comment below and tell me which Pokemon you'd like to see a guide for next. I especially want to hear from you if my video helped you to beat my score. If you managed to get a better shot than me, make sure to upload it to Cyberscore and comment below with a link to your photo. I'd love to give you a shout out on a future video. That concludes my in-depth guide for this Pokemon. Thank you so much for watching, and happy high score hunting. Stay tuned to the Grindforce Gaming channel to make sure you never miss a chance to be the best.